Let's talk about what the demand is coming in from the oppositions. And thank you, Harish, for joining us with those details. Before we open this up, here are a couple of demands being raised by the opposition in totality. A JPC, Joint Parliamentary Committee probe, or a CGI monitored probe. That's the first big demand coming in from the opposition as far as this entire controversy is concerned. They're also speaking of how there must be a greater detailed probe into the irregularities pointed in the Hindenburg report. Remember, 24th of this month is when this, of the last month is when this report was first published in public domain. A couple of days later is when the Adani group's first response came in. Also a demand being raised on how they must confiscate Adani's passport. Now remember, the allegation coming in from the opposition's end is the proximity that the central government shares with Adani, and hence they're raising questions on why this kind of a silence is being witnessed today on part of the central government. Also a demand coming in of how they must give account of exposure to the group. Now this of course brings in the point of the investments that have been made in with regards to LIC and SBI as well. How public money is at stake here, that's what is being questioned by the joint opposition. A debate on the Hindenburg report on Adani in the parliament is what the opposition is demanding at this point in time. These are the several demands being raised. They're saying that since the ongoing session is still underway, the government has the opportunity to come out clean and give a detailed response, and failing to do so is why the need for a JPC or a CGI monitored probe comes into being. Let me open this up. We have Mithun Vijay Kumar, political analyst, and Dr. Sumant C. Raman, political analyst himself, joining us on the broadcast. My first question though is to Dr. Sumant C. Raman, because while we're speaking of LIC, we're speaking of SBI having invested in the Adani group of enterprises, the fact remains that there is a vested interest that we're looking at on part of Hindenburg as well, because they are betting their money on short selling here, and in that sense a PIL has also now been filed in the top court. Very interesting. But why is the opposition now focusing on the government's role here, given that the government is saying that, look, this is a private company, they have to steer clear of the controversy and they have to put out facts in public domain?
Okay, Kritzween, first of all, over 8 lakh crore has been wiped off from the market. Now, much of this is also investors' money, and therefore it is incumbent on the regulatory agencies. In fact, with every passing day, this is becoming less about Adani Group and more about how the regulatory agencies in this country are functioning. Look, there's not even been a formal investigation inquiry which has been launched. What is SEBI doing? What is RBI doing? RBI says that they want to gather information about the exposure. I mean, this has been playing out for the better part of a week.
Across India as well, beyond India as well. So are we going to go on to question regulatory bodies across the world?
No. For first, 1 minute. Hindenburg has made very specific charges. These charges are not vague. They are not saying Adani Group has indulged in malpractices and left it at that. They have put out 88 questions and they've asked for answers to these questions. Now, the question very simply is, what are the regulatory agencies doing? If the pressure on the government is not because there is any collusion which is being alleged by the opposition. Most of the opposition voices, sir,
today are speaking of forced investments by SBI and LIC, and the fact of the matter is, as far as LIC and SBI are concerned, LIC has come out with a counter saying that they have less than 1% investment in Adani. So it's not really of great consequence. The CBI says the exposure to Adani Group is well below the RBI limit. I want Mithun Vijay Kumar to come in as well, and despite all of that is being alleged by the opposition, Mithun Vijay Kumar, why not come out with a detailed response? As far as the centre is concerned, here's the opportunity. Since the parliament session is still underway, come out with a detailed response, place the facts on the table.
Yes, Christine. See, all this hullabaloo is because of the Hindenburg report, and other than that, there aren't any negative reports against the Adani Group by regulatory authorities, be it SEBI or from the regulatory authorities outside India. They operate in many countries, not just India. So before questioning SEBI or RBI, we must ask what the regulators in other nations are doing. So are all the regulators, favoring Adani Group? Hindenburg's, report was clearly, they had a clear intention of harming Adani Group and India on the whole, and they have succeeded with the help of the ruckus created by Congress and the left following the report is what we can see. like you already said, the credibility of Hindenburg is to be questioned because they bet on short selling and all this. And coming to the investments made by SBI and LIC, investments are made by any company based on the growth projections of the firm they are investing in, or the conditions at the time when the investments are made. Saying that government pressured SBI and LIC to make 1% investment it's like mocking the business intelligence of these two entities. So the whole purpose behind today's issue is, or the issue being raised by Congress today, is to disrupt the budget session. Now, if Congress actually wants to talk about, if Congress was so particular about balance sheets and judicial probes, now let me finish, sir. If Congress was so particular about balance sheets and judicial probes, they must have looked into the balance sheet of Robert Vadra's companies during Congress rule, right? Just from 50 lakhs, his wealth grew over to 300 crores in just 3 years. From 50 lakhs, his wealth grew over to 300 crores in just 3 years.
So the first rebuttal is Dr. Suman Raman, and you can perhaps come in and respond to Mr. Mithun Vijay Kumar. The Indian stock market regulator, sir, has put the Adani enterprises under short-term additional surveillance. So that's one thing that's being done on part of the regulator. The second question that comes into being is Adani's investments are not just limited to, let's say, the BJP ruled states, and that's what the BJP is talking about. Before raising those questions, what about the investments made by the group in, let's say, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan?
Look, this is not about where the group has made its investments. And by the way, Mr. Vijay Kumar could probably tell us why in 8.5, almost 9 years, there is not even a single charge sheet against Robert Vadra. What was the government doing if Robert Vadra's wealth has gone up so much? All of this is basically used for media propaganda. Beyond that, nothing has been established. Otherwise, prosecution would have happened by now. The second very important point is, this is not about where Mr. Adani has got his investments. This is about the specific charges of stock price manipulation and insider trading which have been made. Now, either that is true or that is false. That is the sum total of what the agencies and the regulators need to tell us. Everything else is secondary to this. Has there been stock price manipulation? Has there been insider trading? Who are these companies who have been investing
and Dr.
in the Adani
Raman, while you might be absolutely clear in the answers that you're seeking, in the fact that whether or not there is any merit associated to the Hindenburg report, that's not what the opposition seems to be suggesting. They want to take it to how the government is involved, how they've been giving a free hand to the Adani group, so on and so forth. So that doesn't seem to be their concern at all.
Kritsween, that's because the government is hesitant even to debate this issue in Parliament. They are not willing to order an inquiry. If they had ordered an inquiry, the regulators had opened an inquiry, this matter would have been resolved by now. But by not taking any action, the regulators just sitting on the fence, perhaps waiting for the nod from higher ups. That is what is making the opposition be concerned about this. And as each day passes, more of investor wealth is being eroded. This is not just Mr. Adani's wealth. There are people, public, who have also bought the shares.
Okay.
And today, again, most of the shares have hit the lower circuit.
No, that certainly is of concern at this point in time, and what everybody is waiting for is whether or not the Adani group will be able to come out with factual rebuttal, because despite them having threatened of legal consequences to Hindenburg, the Hindenburg seems to be very, very confident. They're saying go ahead, put out facts, give us a rebuttal in as many words as you want, but we're completely sure of the allegations we're leveling today. But the unfortunate bit is the politics that's playing out on the same issue, and that remains our focus at this point in time, given both the houses stand adjourned till afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Suman Raman and Mithun Vijay Kumar, for joining us.